Hey everyone! Welcome to today's webinar, Less Pain, More Gain. We've pulled together a comprehensive SEO workout for stores of all quote-unquote fitness levels. If you're a brand new store or you've been at this for a while, there's always room for improvement. So let's meet our hosts for today. My name is Adrienne and I'm one of the team leads on the SEO team. I've been in digital marketing for almost 5 years and I just love helping small businesses get more online visibility.
Hi everyone, I'm Maria and I've been a search, marketing, and social media specialist at Volusion for 2 years now. I actually just celebrated my Volusion anniversary last month and earned the infamous blue Volusion hoodie, which I'm really excited about because it's so comfortable.
It is. We wanted to start off today by reviewing some SEO basics and terminology. We'll go over a recap of different tactics, followed by some workout plans designed for stores at different fitness levels, easy, moderate, and rigorous. Keep in mind that even the fit stores started with the easy plan at some point. These are all designed to grow along with your store. Then we're going to round everything out with a live Q&A at the end, so make sure you send in your questions throughout the webinar. So first, let's go over a basic definition. SEO means search engine optimization, and it's a set of tactics that site owners can take to influence search organic rankings, meaning that this traffic is not paid. The goal behind each tactic is to increase your site's relevance, trust, and authority, which intuitively makes sense. Search engines want to make sure they're showing their users high quality and reputable sites so people keep coming back to use their services. So therefore, we have to create high quality sites that instill a lot of trust and make sense for our audience. SEO is usually segmented into two different camps, on-site and off-site. Let's dive right in.
So just like the name leads you to believe, on-site SEO takes place on the pages of your actual website. This includes optimizing or changing certain portions of each page to drive relevant traffic to your site from search engines. There are changes that your customers and anyone who visits your page will be able to see, but then there are also behind-the-scenes changes that aren't visible to site visitors, but are really important because search engines are able to index that information. So first, let's talk about behind the scenes. While these can't be seen on a web page, the title tag and the meta description are what Google and other search engines show in a search engine results page. These two tags are some of the most important spaces of SEO real estate.
That blue clickable line is your title tag. This tells search engines and searchers what your page is about and often includes important and relevant keywords. The couple of black text lines underneath is your meta description. This acts like marketing copy and it typically includes a call to action. Think of it like an elevator pitch for your page that helps distinguish it from other results under or above you. This example here is from GameBib, and it shows a title tag that's within the size limits and a meta description that tells you what's on the page and invites you to come shop with them. The other example is from PetSmart. You can see their call to action tells you what to expect when you click and asks you to browse their dog toys. So the idea is to spur you into an action.
As we've mentioned, these two variables are not only important for SEO purposes, but luckily for all of us, they're actually quite easy for us to control. So let's move on to visible on-page content. This content in the form of on-page HTML text describes what each page in your website is about. For instance, this text might be a product description if you're on a product page, a business description if you're on the About Us page, or other informative details that your customers and audience will find useful. Ideally, this content should be around 150 to 250 words in length with keywords woven throughout. This content will not only be helpful to customers, but it's going to be picked up by search engines. We've pulled this example from Academy, so you can see that even the big guys really understand the importance of on-page text.
Another important aspect of on-site SEO is UX, which is user experience. UX is the way that a site visitor feels while navigating through your site. By having a clear and logical navigation composed of organized categories, subcategories, and even products, site users will be able to easily find what they're searching for and easily find what they're trying to buy. In addition to creating a positive user experience for your customers, you're also providing an easy pathway for search engine bots to crawl and better understand your site. So it's a solid win-win. This awesome example here is from Sweet Treat Supply, which has everything laid out into really distinctive major categories. And then you can hover over each of those and see a really comprehensive and intuitive navigation that helps users get to what they need quickly and easily.
Rounding out our review of on-site SEO really has to deal more with design. Mobile search is on the rise every year, and there's no stopping it. So it's almost vital to have a responsive website design. Being responsive simply means your website will size itself appropriately on smaller devices like cell phones and tablets. This will bode well for your SEO because of search engine's emphasis on being mobile friendly. Having a responsive website also goes hand in hand with creating a positive user experience for customers. So whether they're using their smartphone, their tablet, or they're on their desktop at home, they're able to clearly see all of the pages of your site with a responsive design. So if you haven't taken a look at our themes in a while, be sure to check them out. We have a ton of new ones and a new pricing structure. Our premium themes are only $180, but we also have plenty of free ones for you to choose from. In addition, we've improved our mobile checkout on all of these themes, making the checkout experience much easier and way faster for your customers to check out via mobile devices.
Now that we've reviewed different on-site tactics, let's talk about off-site SEO. It's exactly what it sounds like, anything that happens off of your website. There are a bunch of different tactics that a site can use, and not all of them make sense for every business, so we're just going over the important ones today.
One of these off-site tactics is called link building. A backlink is like a vote of confidence that search engines assign to your website. So how can you earn a backlink? Basically, when someone likes your products or content so much, they'll actually link to it on their own website or blog because they think their visitors will appreciate your website or products too. So keep a lookout for valuable related websites that will help strengthen your online authority and reach out to them. That possible collaboration can lead to the building of a high-quality link. As a word of caution, however, if you're going out and getting a ton of spammy or low-quality links, Google and other search engines are going to know they're not legit, and you would have wasted your time and possibly even dinged the authority of your website a little bit. We'll actually talk about how different Volusion stores have built successful links a little bit later on. And as a quick reminder, feel free to send in your SEO questions at any time, and we'll get to them after the webinar.
Let's talk about something that's considered an off-site factor, but it's not necessarily a tactic. It's called website reputation. So you know all of those review sites that rate your business and your website by star level, right? If you have a whole bunch of negative reviews or complaints, this does actually have a negative effect on your website's authority. The best way to make sure to keep positive reviews is to deliver great service, treat your customers well, and don't get involved in anything controversial.
The bridge between on-site and off-site is really a great content strategy. Writing really high-quality, valuable content can be used throughout the web in a variety of formats. For example, you might consider turning one of your popular blog posts into a video or an infographic. It's important to work smarter, not harder.
If you need ideas for content, try to think about common questions that your customers already ask about your products. The chances are, if you get calls with the same question frequently, you have plenty of potential customers who didn't call and just moved on to another site that actually did answer their question. So doing this in a thorough way will help give you and your website more authority and relevancy. And then you can use this larger piece of content to create a whole bunch of smaller types of content that can be used across several channels.
Let's go ahead and take a look at an example. Sausage Maker, a Volusion merchant, sells all the equipment you could ever need for making your own sausages and other meat products. One of their most frequently asked questions, especially around the summertime, is how to make a perfect hot dog. So of course, this was the perfect opportunity for us to write a blog about how to make that delicious, perfect hot dog to garner relevant traffic and new searches.
Once that blog was done, some social media posts were created around big hot dog holidays, like July 4th that just happened, which got a lot of traffic driven back to the website. From here we have a couple options. Maybe we'll create a video of one of our sausage experts making hot dogs from scratch, or we'll feature it again during big Major League Baseball games. This valuable content can be used so many different ways and really helps to attract new customers, engage current customers, and give a ton of authority to the brand.
While not technically SEO, social media engagement metrics can inform a website's authority and organic visibility. Social media can be a powerful tool for any online business to connect with an audience on a way more personal level. It adds a human persona to your website. Not only can you establish long-term loyalty through social media marketing and encourage future purchases, but you'll also attain a far wider online reach since people just love to share products or content that they enjoy with their own friends and family.
If you're struggling to determine what social channels are right for you or which you should invest in, really consider your products and their appropriate audience. Facebook is by far the most popular social media platform in terms of number of users, the frequency of use, and usage duration. It has people from all walks of life, ages, and geographic location, and it actually recently hit 2 billion users, which is crazy. Instagram and Pinterest, on the other hand, are really image-driven. So if you have attractive photos or you sell products that spark personal style, these are really great social channels for you. And last but not least, Twitter's got a really engaged audience, and they react well to humor and quick bits of information, news, quotes, things like that.
And there are many other social media channels that may be right for your business, but it's important for you to be realistic about your time commitment to these channels. In addition to time, it also takes significant effort to maintain a social media presence in order to build that consistent engagement and a pretty good fan base. You definitely don't want to get in over your head posting on 10 channels a day if you simply don't have time or a great strategy in place. A tip to ensure your website and your social media are properly linked is through your website's social media buttons. Also be sure your website is listed in each social channel's biographies or account descriptions. This will add further cohesion among all of your online properties and allow customers to easily find you on multiple platforms.
All right, so if you have never run a day in your life, you probably don't want to start off your exercises by running a marathon on the first day, right? It's the same for SEO. It's not about reaching the finish line on day one. Steady, high-quality changes to your site are going to give you the best results in the end. So the easy workout plan was made for these beginners in mind. Whether you just launched your store or you haven't gotten around to optimizing anything yet, this plan is exactly where you need to start.
We suggest that you start off with your most important landing pages. A landing page is simply the point of entry searchers have landed on your website via organic traffic. This isn't always the home page, since search engines may deliver a deeper category or product page when a relevant search has been conducted. For example, say you sell sausage making supplies and someone searches for manual sausage grinders. Google might actually display the sausage grinder category page instead of the home page, since it's way more relevant to the searcher's intent. However, your homepage is going to be the first impression most people see when they land on your site. So we suggest you start with the homepage and give it some extra time and some extra work. From there, take your most important landing pages and prioritize them. Since SEO is a long-term strategy, start with your upcoming seasonal pages, like pages you've created for a specific holiday, like Mother's Day, or for a special summer sale. Then either work on the pages that bring you the most traffic and sales, or work on the pages that you hope will bring you the most traffic and sales in the future. You'll want to work on your upcoming seasonal pages first, since SEO can take a while to kick in. Keep an eye out on the future, not just what's on relevant right now. Pro tip, go ahead and optimize your holiday pages sooner rather than later to start gaining SEO momentum.
The reason we start with pages like this is because we want to cast as wide a net as possible right off the bat. You'll definitely want to give time and consideration to your smaller pages or your subcategories, but focus on these big ones first to put your site in the best position possible going forward.
So what kinds of things do you need for an optimized page? Here's what we suggest for the quick and dirty plan. An optimized URL, a title tag, a meta description, an H1, and a couple of paragraphs of on-page content.
Let's go through each one. You're going to want to keep your URL short and sweet, just the name of the category or the product, or even a shortened version if it's more than a couple words. Your title tag needs to be full of keywords that describe exactly what's on the page. So for example, your homepage keywords are going to be really broad, and then you'll get more specific as you work your way deeper into the site. Keep your title tag around 60 characters. Any more than that, and you run the risk of getting the tail end cut off. For meta descriptions, I like to write a sentence about what's on the page and then some kind of call to action. You can keep these around 156 characters and length. In this section, you'll also notice the meta keywords tag. This tag actually hasn't been used by search engines for over 10 years, so I'd suggest skipping it. We've also included a tool to help you develop your title tags and meta descriptions so that you'll know what they'll look like in the search engine results pages. There's also a link to our SEO ebook here, which you can refer back to when writing these tags. You'll be able to check these out once we send out the slides after the webinar.
Moving on, an H1 is like a headline to your on-page content, and it's just another place to tell search engines exactly what your page is about. Remember that search engines are blind. They can't see a web page the same way your customers can. They need everything to be spelled out explicitly. There's a really great blog post that we've linked here that goes more in depth on these. You can check it out once we send out the slides. Under your H1, be sure to write a couple of paragraphs about the page. If you're stuck on what to write, you can go ahead and answer some questions like what products are on the page, how does someone use these products, why should people shop with you versus any other store? And there you have it, an optimized page.
Our first example of a store that just launched is a golfing website. This store hired us to do SEO even before they launched so that when they did, all the important pages were already optimized. Since we spent the first few months working on their homepage and major category pages, we're now focusing on those smaller product pages. Even though the site has only been live for a few months, you'll see from this Google Analytics screenshot that they're already gaining more and more organic traffic. We're going to talk a little bit later about how to gauge success towards the end of the webinar.
There are some cases where a store might not be brand new, but the easy plan is still the correct one for you. If your store has been around for a while, but you haven't spent a lot of time optimizing your pages, or any time for that matter, we promise we're not judging you, then you're still a good candidate for the easy workout plan.
Another example of someone who ended up benefiting the easy workout plan was a clothing boutique I worked with about a year ago. This merchant migrated to Volusion, and they had a good, solid online background, but they needed to work to preserve what they already had and also make it better. We focused on newly optimized tags and fresh content for several months after the migration in order to give the site a really nice long-term boost that you can see here on your screen.
Let's recap the easy plan before we move on. This is the perfect place to start if you're just launching your store or you've been around for a while but haven't completed any SEO work. Optimize your pages by working on URLs, title tags, meta descriptions, H1 tags, and write a couple of paragraphs of on-page content. If you're just starting out and you're feeling overwhelmed by the amount of work, make sure you plan and prioritize your pages. Create a schedule for yourself so you're updating pages every few weeks. You don't have to spend all of your day doing SEO work like Adrian and I do. Just make sure you're setting aside some time each month or each week to get it done.
The moderate SEO workout plan is ideal for a store owner that has invested in some SEO in the past and has some optimized tags and content already in place. You've probably conducted some keyword research and industry analysis, and you've got steady organic revenue coming into your site. But how do you know if you have organic revenue coming in? You're going to turn to Google Analytics. We'll show you, or we'll go into how to check different sources towards the end of the webinar, but we wanted to show you a quick example first.
As you can see, this website is receiving the majority of its traffic from organic search. This gives us a pretty good idea that search engines are understanding this website's content and products and sending qualified traffic to it from relevant searches. However, as you very well know, a website's owner's job is never complete, and there are always different tactics you can take to improve your site's SEO even further.
First up on the list is to further inspect your tags from the easy workout plan. If it's been a while since you or someone you hired worked on your tags, it's a really good idea to audit what's currently on the site and ensure your tags meet the right lengths and accurately describe the offerings on the page. So, for example, if your shipping policy changed or you edited your slogan, something like that, go ahead and check all of your tags. It's important to look beyond your top navigation categories and your best-selling products as well. If you haven't already, inspect all of your smaller pages to ensure all of those tags are declared for every page in your store. And once you have appropriate links for these tags, it's time to take a closer look into a new field, which is the photo alt tag on your products, also called image alt tag. You can find this field by navigating to a product on your admin and then go under Advanced Info and Search Engine Optimization, where you're going to see all the fields that are important for SEO.
Because search engines aren't able to view a page like your visitors can, it won't understand the contents of an image if you don't tell it what it's supposed to be. This is where the image alt tag field comes into play. By writing a short descriptor describing your product image, you're telling search engines exactly what the picture is. This image alt tag won't be visible to site visitors, but it may lead to increased visibility on search engines' image search field, as well as increased accessibility for people using screen readers. While we're on the topic of images, we wanted to touch upon product photos on your website. Photos are some of the most convincing portions of an online website since customers aren't able to try or touch your online products. So be sure to have multiple images of your products in a variety of angles. If you only have a single image on most of your products, go ahead and make some time to provide an array of images so your customers can feel more informed about your products. We've linked a blog post here that goes over how to make product photos on a budget. It's really important not to let photos intimidate you. You can take really great high quality photos on just about any smartphone nowadays.
Next on the moderate routine is to tackle duplicate content. If you've borrowed product descriptions from manufacturers or suppliers, you're not really doing yourself any favors for your site's SEO because search engines want your website to provide really unique and useful content for your users. If you haven't invested some time to writing up unique content for these pages, we definitely recommend that you do.
Rounding out your moderate workout plan is building out a blog and consistent content strategy. While Volusion doesn't have an integrated blogging feature, it's actually quite easy to set up a blog and connect it to your online store, and you can do this in a matter of minutes. We've linked a how to set up a blog for your Volusion store guide here, which will be clickable once we send out the webinar slides. By writing blog posts or general content about topics that are relevant to your industry, that are interesting or helpful to your audience, you can build a loyal following of avid readers. For example, I have a convertible car top replacement merchant that has been a long-term SEO campaign of ours. We don't just write about products. Instead, we write helpful and informative blog posts from cleaning tips to road trip suggestions to the latest launches. Their blog is visited frequently each month with over 1,000 visits, and the best part is that it actually drives revenue.
Creating strong, enjoyable content can be awesome in terms of revenue and site traffic. You definitely don't have to write every day or every week, and in fact, I recommend that you don't. By organizing and building out a content calendar, you can update your blog about once or twice a month. Don't forget to post your blog posts on your social channels to create a nice interwoven relationship between all of your online properties.
So to recap, the moderate plan is great for merchants who have already gotten started on SEO for their site. We recommend reviewing your tags, especially if you haven't looked at them in a while. Next, work on optimizing your images for better relevancy and trust by adding clear, multiple images and a descriptive image alt tag. Go ahead and tackle duplicate content, especially if you know you have manufacturers' descriptions on your products. Start diving into blogging if it makes sense for your industry, and try to become an authority in that online space of yours. Remember to take things in increments.
So now we're getting into the types of plans that are going to be very unique and specific to the actual store. If you've gotten to this point, you have a solid foundation of on-page SEO and you've started dabbling in some off-page tactics. It's also a good idea at this point to have the ability to spend money on a marketing budget.
There are a few questions you can ask yourself when you're getting started with the rigorous workout plan. First, review the work you've already completed. Are you still within Google guidelines? Because consumer behavior is changing all the time, the rules of SEO are constantly changing as well. Make sure you take the time to review your work and ensure that you're keeping up with the latest trends.
Another one is, are there any avenues of online marketing that you haven't checked out yet? While they're not directly related to SEO, any type of online marketing can assist your SEO efforts. So if you have some budget and it makes sense for your business, consider exploring PPC, which is pay-per-click advertising, shopping feeds, social media, email marketing, video marketing, the list goes on.
And although this doesn't fit into every industry, you might want to ask yourself if you have a product that could do well with influencer marketing. This type of marketing includes collaborating with bloggers or social media influencers to review and test out your products either for free merchandise or a paid mention. This tends to do well with lifestyle industries like fashion, health, and home life related stores.
So the thing about the rigorous plan is there are a ton of different things you can do, and they're highly dependent on the current state of your store and what's important for your industry. The things that are listed on this slide are just a small sampling of the tactics that you might use. So if you've gotten to this point, I highly recommend engaging with an online marketing expert if you're not sure what direction to go. Because these plans are so individualized, we're just going to hop right into some examples.
Our first example of a rigorous workout plan is our very own Sausage King sausage maker. When we started working with them, they did already have an established brand in place, but they needed some online marketing refinement. This included tackling on-page improvements, just like in the Easy Plan, but now we've branched out into a few different tactics. The first is regular blogging, which has been wildly successful for them, like that perfect hot dog recipe. Everyone seems to love hot dogs. Tutorials are especially popular for their customers. We're also working on influencer marketing and social media, which includes reaching out to meat-loving bloggers and sending them some product to use and review on their sites. So this actually has two benefits. Usually the bloggers include a link back to the site, which is great for link building, an off-site SEO tactic we've discussed, but they also provide really great high-quality content to an audience that we may not have reached otherwise.
Our second example is a health and diet food store who's been with us for over 4 years now. A lot of the work we do is maintaining that high-quality content on all of their pages, updating new products as they come along, and continuing to engage with customers and patients because they also have a doctor's office. We also have the freedom to try out various off-page tactics like infographics, blogging, social media, all of that. And since they have offices, like I mentioned, local SEO is also a huge part of their strategy that gets constant checkups to ensure everything is still optimized correctly. You can see here from their analytics that while they get traffic from all over the U.S., most of their traffic comes from Alabama, where their offices are located.
So just like stretching and taking some meditative breaks after your workout is effective for your body, analyzing your SEO investments is also important for the health of your website. The best tool we can recommend is Google Analytics. It's easy to set up and it's totally free. It's valuable for taking baseline measurements of organic traffic and comparing it to future data. It allows you to view transactions, revenue, and to determine the progress of your SEO strategy.
But where should you look in analytics? As a search marketing specialist, these are just some of the areas that I like to check in on a weekly and monthly basis. Each of these is going to give us different data, and each section allows us to take month to month, season to season, and year-over-year comparisons to help determine appropriate growth in terms of traffic and revenue, as well as give us key insights to pinpoint areas that might need improvement. An important area to check into is your channel traffic sources to see what main source is bringing you traffic. A channel is simply how Google groups traffic from those major sources. So, for example, organic traffic is non-paid traffic from search engines, including Bing and Yahoo and other things, while your direct traffic comes from people who type your site directly into their browser. These groupings are what makes Google Analytics such a useful and robust tool.
Another section that we like to check often is that popular landing pages. While the home page is almost always the most popular landing page, knowing which deeper pages search engines deliver traffic to is also valuable. For example, if you see a landing page that's not receiving as much traffic as you'd like it to, maybe it's time to invest some additional effort to better optimize the page by featuring different products or adding some fresh new content.
In addition to landing pages, product performance is also great to review regularly. By knowing what products sold over a certain period from different sources, it can let you target new areas for optimization or even expand a popular offering with additional corresponding or similar products.
Knowing where your customers are can be fruitful if you have a brick-and-mortar location or you're running location-based ads. This is why checking into geographic location on Google Analytics is useful. By knowing where your customers are located, it can help you market locally to them by running geographic-based ads or connecting with local bloggers or influencers.
Yeah, like for example, I have a merchant who sells alcohol, so it's really important to see where the traffic is coming from because they can't sell to various different states. We've already talked about having the importance of having a mobile-friendly and responsive design, but if you're still not convinced about switching themes, go check out your mobile traffic in your analytics. If you notice a low conversion percentage compared to your other sources, it's probably time to make the responsive switch to garner that higher mobile traffic. This example site here, they're getting all of their, or not all, most of their traffic from mobile devices, but their e-commerce conversion rate is by far the lowest. They probably want to switch.
Remember that SEO is a long-term strategy. It's common for changes to take anywhere from 3 to 6 months to start getting results. And if you're in a competitive industry, it can take even longer. Also, it's important not to obsess with analytics on a daily basis. Go ahead and let data propagate before making drastic changes to your strategy. Just like a physical fitness routine takes time and serious effort, so does SEO. We understand that for busy store owners, this can seem like a really daunting task. But remember, just like you can't exercise for hours and hours on end, you can't do SEO all day either. I'm sure you've heard the expression, don't skip leg day. Keep this in mind and apply it to your online marketing strategy. SEO is just one area you should start building muscle from, but there are still plenty of other marketing strategies you should be employing as well. Slowly but surely, you can have an SEO-friendly website. Just be sure to break it up into manageable weekly or monthly tasks to make sure you're consistently working on improving your site's online visibility.
Or you can hire us. We actually offer SEO services and social media services. We've got some really cool deals just for Volusion merchants. There's a couple of different options for stores at different levels, but if you're not sure what's best for you, go ahead and give us a call and we can help you pick the right one. Also, if you're a Volusion merchant and you don't have Google Analytics installed on your site, make sure you take the survey at the end and let us know, because our team will install it for you for free. We're reaching out, or we're going to be reaching out for your Google Analytics login information, so if you haven't already, go ahead and make a Google login just for your store. All right, thanks to everybody for joining us. We're going to give you guys a chance to send in any questions you have. We're going to go get a drink of water, and then we'll be back for our live Q&A, so stick around. Thank you guys for all the great questions, especially Shane and Jody. You guys are asking amazing questions here. So the first question we're going to answer is from Robert, and he's asking, is this being recorded? It is being recorded, and we will actually send it out to you guys so you can review it later, and then you'll also be able to click on all of those links that we had.
All right, so let's get started with Jody's question, what's an H1? An H1 is just a header for your title, for your page. So it just works as a title, and it actually is going to be part of your on-page content. So you're basically going to wrap what you want your page to be about in an H1 tag. In the webinar, we've actually linked to a blog post that tells you exactly how to wrap that title in an H1 tag, and that's all you have to do. It's really simple, and it just works as a title for your page.
It's a tiny, tiny bit of coding, but it's really, really easy. So, and you can also do H2s. That's just what we call it because that's how you code it. So, all right, let's see here. So what type of content helps convert lookers to buyers? That's from Sylvia. Great question. The biggest thing that we can recommend is to remove people's pain points. So let's think of an example here. Like, let's say you sell shoes and the size runs a bit smaller. You're going to want to address that in your content. One of the best ways that I know how to write quality content is to look at reviews that people have written maybe on other websites and see what kinds of things those people are saying to the people who are going to buy in the future. And that's extremely high quality content that you can include.
Okay, so let's go ahead and move on to the social question. Are there any negative effects of posting the same thing across multiple social accounts? So the thing to understand about social media is that the different channels really have different audiences. So like we mentioned in the webinar, Instagram and Pinterest are really image heavy. So you want to avoid, posting too heavy of text on Instagram and on Pinterest. And then on Facebook, traditionally, it gets a lot more people off of Facebook and onto websites. So if you're interested in increasing your website traffic from social sources, we recommend you sort of focus on Facebook. I mean, we would highly recommend you diversify the type of content simply because it's different audiences for every single one.
So Shane has a question about analytics. How can I be sure I'm tracking meaningful information? I'm concerned about bot traffic. That's a really good question, and actually Google Analytics can show you what a bot looks like. There's a couple different ways. Bots usually bounce from the website really fast. A bounce rate is simply somebody who comes to the website and then immediately leaves without staying or clicking around to other pages or anything like that. So one of the trademarks of a bot is that they bounce. Let's see, what else shows a bot? Just, if you've got a spike in traffic that looks kind of suspicious, so bots can look organic or direct. If you're not sure what they look like, I would definitely recommend asking an online marketing expert. They'll be able to tell you what kind of traffic you got going on.
Right. You do want to maintain the integrity of your data, so blocking out those bots is going to be pretty important, and any SEO expert is going to be able to look at that fairly quickly and figure out what's not organic traffic and what's actually a bot.
In fact, now that I think about it, when we do Google Analytics installs, we filter out bot traffic to make sure that you're only basically looking at your customers, which is awesome. The thing is, though, you can't prevent all bots. They are going to sneak through, but we can filter out a majority.
Right. It's just maintaining a website. It does take some effort. So just going in there and checking pretty often where your traffic is coming from is going to be your best bet. Okay, so let's go ahead and move on to another question about duplicate content. It says, how do I prevent duplicate content? Can I reword information from the manufacturer? Of course you can. And we know that sometimes grabbing that manufacturer information is just going to make your life easier. We understand. But for long-term SEO success, even just rewording it is going to be a pretty effective way for doing that. Go ahead and focus on bigger category pages like we mentioned, and then if you know that some products are much more popular, go ahead and start focusing on that. You really want to create unique on-page content, and even if just you're rewording it to make it easier to read and not sound so, so used over and over, just go ahead and do that. Definitely, we would recommend you do that.
Yeah, duplicate content is not a death sentence for your website. So focus on your bigger pages first. But if you have time to reword it, definitely do, because that is the mark of a well-maintained website, which sends really good signals to Google.
Yeah, and I always like to tell my clients that duplicate content is going to exist. It's really difficult to get rid of it 100%, but it's just something to keep your eye on, especially if you know you've already borrowed a bunch of descriptions from manufacturers or suppliers.
So Kristen has a question. Should I include my company name in SEO fields, and if so, which ones? Really good question. I would actually suggest that you don't include your company name because your company name is going to be all over your website already. So you want to save those SEO fields for those keywords like we mentioned. And, you can mention it maybe in the meta description like, hey, shop with Sweet Treat Supply because we are known for having the best prices or something like that. But in general, you don't need to include it because you're already, probably ranking for that.
So we've got another great question here. Should I start trying to build links and focus on SEO, or should I be focusing on paid search? So that really depends on your budget, right? Yeah. So paid search is going to go ahead and drive traffic fast to your website. But you also want to make sure that you're in a pretty good standing SEO-wise. So if you have the budget for PPC, you want to go ahead and invest in it. I mean, you can do both at the same time, really. If you have to pick and choose, you really have to ask yourself what your business objectives are. So to build long-lasting SEO quality work, we definitely recommend you focus on the SEO side. But if you sort of want to just jump into PPC, we do recommend you employ someone who has experience with that to go ahead and get the best value for your money.
And you can do both at the same time. Link building is not something that you're required to build 10 links this month and then you're good for a while. It really is that long-term process like we talked about because it shows that you're networking and things like that. What does it mean to optimize our URL? That's from Donna. That is a great question. So I'm sure you guys have seen the URL in your browser. Basically, we're just making sure that we're adding some words in there that describes what's on the page so that if somebody shares the URL with somebody else, they can tell what they're clicking into just by glancing at it. That's basically all that is. And again, it's not a huge thing, but it does show Google that your site is well maintained and well optimized.
Okay, so we have a question on the photo alt tag. What's the best way to optimize it? What goes in this field? So basically, it's just a few words describing what it is. Most of the time, the name of your product is actually a great descriptor if you've named your product something that's really helpful. So just explaining it to someone who can't see is basically the best way we can go ahead and recommend you fill out that image alt tag.
Carol's asking for more information on the keyword field and why we skip it, which is really fascinating. I'll just briefly touch on the history of search engines here, but back in the day, before, in the early days of the internet, or the early days of Google, sorry, the keyword field was the field that people used to tell search engines what to expect on the site, and it was used in order to rank for different queries. So as you can imagine, people abused it a lot, and they started putting keywords that didn't even remotely describe what their website was about. So search engines caught on to that really quickly, and they started looking at different what's the word I'm looking for? Different things that a website has, like links or content, in order to determine what website is the best. So that's why we don't use it anymore, and why it hasn't been used in so long, because there's always people who are trying to game the system, and search engines do not like being manipulated.
So we have a question on working on SEO. Is there a preview tool to see what Google sees? And this is a great question, Devana. We've actually linked a great tool on the webinar, which tells you exactly what Google is going to be seeing. So this works for the URL, for the title tag, and the meta description. And the reason why you want to see what that looks like is because that's what's going to appear on a search engine results page. So you can use the tool that we've linked in the webinar, or even if you just Google SERP, so S-E-R-P, which just stands for Search Engine Results Page tool, and you'll see a bunch of ones that you can see that will automatically resize the title tag or the meta description, so you can go ahead and keep things the appropriate length when it comes to the title tag and the meta description.
We're getting a lot of questions about that photo alt tag or the image alt tag. That's the same thing, just so y'all are aware. What's the best way to optimize it, and what goes into this field? So the best way that I can describe it is just put in words that describe your product. So let's go over an example of Sweet Treat Supply, because it's on my mind. They sell different molds for making like chocolate lollipops and stuff, and they have a whole bunch for Christmas, so, or holidays or winter. So you might put, chocolate, candy, mold, gift, holiday, Christmas, winter, different words like that that describe what the product is. You don't need commas or anything like that. So it can go really quickly. So yeah, just basically describe what the product is in as many ways as you can. And it doesn't have to be readable, because nobody's going to read it except search engines.
Right. For example, if you have certain descriptors, if it's a hat for a woman, just go ahead and include that information. That's going to be really, really helpful, and also distinguish your product.
Yeah, great point.
Okay, so we have a question from Amir. How do I see the most the landing page impressions? And that's going to be through Google Analytics. There's actually a section on landing pages that we've outlined in the webinar. If you don't have analytics already installed, remember to just go ahead and fill it out in the survey, and our team will actually take care of that for you. But just knowing what landing pages are important is going to be really valuable information for you, so you can see where traffic is landing on your website.
Somebody just asked, should I remove my meta keywords? You don't have to. Competitors might come in and look at that information, but don't worry about it. It's not doing anything. It's not hurting anything. They're just kind of there.
Right. It's just a way to save you time. Just skip that field, because it's not really doing anything for you. So why spend time on it?
Yeah, your time is valuable, and we want to make sure you're spending it on stuff that's going to impact your site. Let's see, what other questions do we have?
Okay, so how do I know if my site has Google Analytics? If you don't ever remember installing it, then you probably don't have Google Analytics. If you don't have a Google login, that you probably also don't have Google Analytics, so you have to actually install it on the pages of your website. So if you don't recall ever doing that, you didn't hire someone to do SEO for you in the past, then you're not going to have Google Analytics installed for you. If you go ahead and right-click on your web page, it's actually going to give you the script of your site. Go ahead and Control F and look for UA, because all Google Analytics tracking codes start with UA. If you don't see it on there, then it's not on there.
And also a note, our templates actually do have the tracking code built in, but the UA code doesn't have the numbers in it, because the numbers are going to be your individual code. So if you see UA in there and it just has a bunch of X's after it, then that means it just came with your template and it's not actually a live working Google Analytics code. So just as a note. Do you use a hashtag for keywords? You do not use a hashtag for keywords. Hashtags are basically just a social media, or actually just basically Instagram and Twitter are what those are used for. So you don't need a hashtag for your keywords.
So should I avoid changing URLs to something more optimized if I have an older site? And that's by Greg. It really depends if your URL is not descriptive at all.
Or if it's like super long.
Right. You want to make sure that things are short, sweet, like we mentioned, but they get to the point also, right? You don't want to start stuffing in keywords in there. So if there's real no need, if you know that your URLs are pretty short, they're pretty descriptive, just go ahead and leave them, work on the title tag instead. That's going to be a more important space for you to go ahead and add some relevant keywords in there.
So Eric is asking if selling on eBay or Amazon can affect your SEO. So that's a really good question, and the idea, I guess, is that it's about user experience and authority. So if the customers who buy your products are hanging out on those places, then you probably want to sell there, but it's not going to technically affect your site's SEO. Now, on the other hand, Amazon, already has a very regular user base. I've heard from a lot of merchants it's a pain point for you guys. I totally understand. But they already have a dedicated user base who use Amazon as a search engine. So it might be a good place for you to be if potential customers are hanging out there. But that's a business decision. It's not really an SEO thing. Although you can optimize for Amazon because it is a search engine. That is something we might touch upon later because that is a longer subject, but it's possible.
Right. It is always important to keep in mind that unique content that we talked about.
Yeah.
If you're going to be selling on these, like on Amazon, on eBay, you want to make sure that the content you have on your website is a little bit different to avoid that duplicate content.
Joelle is asking if we should do SEO for product pages. Is that the parent or the child products? You'll do that for your parent product because the child products are just iterations of the parent product. So focus on the parent products for those.
Okay, we have more questions about the H1. Where does it go? And it's going to go in your product description if you're on a product page. It's going to go in your category description if you're on a category. Some examples of an H1, like I said, it's just the title. If you're on your, if you're selling women's accessories and you're on the straw hats page, it could just be straw hats for women, and you just go ahead and wrap straw hats in that little piece of H1 code, and that's basically it.
Carol's asking what meta tag overrides are used for. That is a kind of an advanced thing. You can use it to, I'm forgetting words. Verify, sorry, that's it. You can use it to verify various tools like Google Search Console, but if you're not sure what to do with it, I wouldn't touch it because it can actually override some of the things that you're trying to do. So be careful when you use that, but that's what those are used for.
Okay, so back to changing URLs, because I know that can be scary, especially if you do have some authority already. You know your site's been live for a long time, a few years. If you are planning on doing a rebrand, for example, and those URLs just don't relate anymore to what you're selling, to sort of the, the vibe that you're going for, you want to make sure to go ahead and update them. Sometimes that seems like an easy place to skip over when you're creating new categories. You just want to go ahead, look them over. Are they still relevant? The products on these URLs, are they accurately being described by that URL? The less words you use is probably going to be better for you. You just want to make sure that search engines are understanding exactly what you're selling. And also when sharing URLs, you don't want to make sure your URL is very, very long. You just want to make that user experience really simple and easy.
I also have a quick tip. Go into your config variables, and that very first config variable is enabling SEO-friendly URLs, or enabling automatic 301 redirects for your SEO-friendly URLs. If that is not checked, go ahead and check it and hit save, because that is going to make sure that if you do change your optimized URLs to something else, as long as it's the same category number, it'll automatically redirect to that new optimized URL. So it's just quick and easy.
Okay, so we have a question about, again, focusing on, organic SEO first, or running regular promotions and running ads. If it's in your budget and you have the time, we definitely recommend you do both. If you've never worked on on SEO, on updating any tags, go ahead and put that at the forefront, especially for those categories and those products that are going to be relevant, in the upcoming holidays. For example, if you do have a very holiday-centric product or category, go ahead and start working on that as fast as you can, really. Regular promotions, you can do that, through pay-per-click or through shopping feeds or even through, social media advertising. And if that works for you and you have that budget, we definitely recommend you do it. Organic traffic, we call it free, but it's not free because it does take you some time. We know that. Your time is valuable. But if you want to maintain a good SEO standing with search engines, we definitely recommend you start doing SEO, at least for your most popular pages, your most popular category pages, and your homepage, definitely.
So somebody just asked, how would you define the type of audience for Google+? That is a great question, and goodness, I haven't used Google+ in a while, so I don't think any of us really have. For the most part, even when it was popular, it was being used mostly by other people who liked search engine optimization. So I would not suggest spending time on that because it's just not going to bring you any customers. It's just not going to bring
no one's on Google+, basically.
They tried to make it a thing. It's just not going to be a thing. Sorry, Google.
So go ahead and focus on social channels. Facebook. Pretty much everyone is on Facebook. And also, people have a tendency to click off of Facebook and onto a direct website, more so than other social channels. For example, Instagram. People love to stay on Instagram, so it's really hard for them to get off of the gram. So go ahead and stay. Just think about what you want to go ahead and accomplish. Facebook, I would say, is a must, right?
Oh, yeah.
And then,
2 billion users.
Yeah.
You've got to be on Facebook.
Go ahead and be on Facebook. Also, people have a tendency now to reach out to a business through social media first, right? So they'll most likely find you on Facebook, send you a direct message, and if it's not a place you're checking out pretty frequently, you're going to miss out on that. On providing good customer service, just because millennials and just people more are just tending to reach out via social media first, rather than calling a customer service number that they know that someone's not going to be answering.
And there's a ton of different social channels that you might explore. One that we didn't really touch on is Reddit, which has actually been successful for a couple of our clients here. It just depends on your industry. Like, for example, we have people who sell hiking equipment, and there are a ton of people who are really into hiking on Reddit. So, that client hangs out in those spaces, interacts with hikers, they talk about different areas they might go to, so it just depends on what is really good for your industry and where your audience is already hanging out, because you want to be there too.
And also, if you know you have the type of product that you can't do Facebook advertising for example, if you're a vaping store or a gun store, Reddit is a good place to build a community. You're not going to go in there and be like, save $50 on blah, blah, blah. Because Reddit is really about building a community, reaching out to people, connecting with people. So that's just a caveat there on Reddit. Be less markety and more friendly.
It's community management, right? That's a buzzword nowadays.
And then other social channels that we didn't really go into could be LinkedIn, right? Depending on what type of service you have, could also be really great. There's Polyvore, which basically is like a big scrapbook, and it's really great for home stores, for fashion stores. People can go in there, use your products to create these scrapbook pages, and the great thing is that it actually has a link back to your website. So Polyvore is great for industries like that. Is there anything else worth mentioning?
Nothing big, I don't think.
Yeah, so those are kind of the big social media channels that we'd recommend.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and move on.
Richard asked, what are some of Google's guidelines? Really good question. Google's got some best practices that we need to follow. And basically, the big one is don't be manipulative. If you are trying to manipulate the search engines in some way, like you are trying to get a keyword that doesn't actually describe your products or something like that, just don't do it. Google will catch you. You need that trust, authority, and relevance like we were talking about. So make sure that everything you do follows those three things in that trinity. So that was actually the last question that we can get to. But if you want to learn more about SEO, go ahead and visit our blog. We'll send out these slides afterwards, which have all of those great links in there. So
yeah, and our team actually wrote a pretty comprehensive SEO ebook that really goes in depth into all the things that we talked about. And so if you have time to read that, we definitely recommend you do. It's linked in the webinar. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks, everybody. If you have any further questions, call the number on the screen. And it's been great chatting with you guys. Thanks so much, and have a good day.